It's a very strange way to operate. But I guess it's ironic because Destiny and his weirdo fans will always say Hasan is too scared of debate. Okay? He's too scared of debate. He's too afraid, even though I debate plenty. And then they'll follow up and say, no, he only talks to like is in his chat, which is ironic because he's calling his own fan base, because most of those people that chirp at me are usually coming from his fan base.
We are just learning fingerprint comparisons made between prints collected at the scene of the Brian Thompson murder compared with prints taken in the arrest process of Luigi Mangione show a positive match. Two law enforcement officials briefed on the matter have just confirmed to CNN. We're going to have more on that in just a moment. Also this...
It could be anybody. Hey! A total coincidence! Wrong place, wrong time. Everybody calm the fuck down. It's really fucked up. Free my boy Luigi!
Still
What the
behind
fuck
bars
are you
in
doing?
Pennsylvania after a judge denied him bail. Before his court appearance, that was yesterday, He
had gloves? No, dude, he wasn't wearing gloves. No, he quite literally was not wearing gloves. Some of you guys are... I can't tell if some of you guys are like memeing. They showed your edits on Fox last night. That's amazing.
He yelled and struggled against officers once he turned and saw that the media was standing outside the courthouse. And police now say a notebook that they found on him has a so-called to-do list in it from before the killing, as well as a reported reference to deciding not to use a bomb to target the victim so he would...
Bro, this guy literally is a go-getter. Like, I can't believe we are yelling at people now for being go-getters. Like, he's a real type A personality, dude. What? I mean, look, why did he write that? Okay, first of all, I think we just had a conversation about how it's not weird to have notes like that on your notes app, on your phone. So I think, you know, to each their own, okay? To each their own. I think you got to cool it a little bit with whatever people decide to write in their notes app.
Not, quote unquote, innocence. Also new this morning, disturbing video of what appears to be posters popping up around New York City for other health executives. All of this as the suspect's lawyer is now speaking out about offers they say they've received to pay from outside to pay for his legal fees.
Obviously, my client appreciates the support that he has, but I don't know. I just, I'd have to look in, but it just doesn't sit right with me, really. The Supreme Court says, you know, all these rich billionaires can give all kind of money to candidates, and that's free speech. So maybe these people are exercising their right to free speech and saying that's the way they're supporting my client.
Joining us right now, CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller, CNN Law Enforcement Contributor Steve Moore, also here with me. John, this is your new reporting, and this is a big deal. This is the first positive forensic match that we know of. Walk us through what you've learned.
So, fingerprints collected at the scene of the Thompson murder, from a plastic water bottle, from a discarded cell phone, the so-called burner phone, have now been compared against the arrest fingerprints taken by police in Altoona of the suspect, and yesterday they were able to make a match to the prints that they collected at the scene. Not a surprise in some regard, in that they had an individual allegedly with a mask and those things, but it is the first scientific forensic match that joins the growing pile of circumstantial evidence that they can say, well, how else would it be someone if that fingerprint is here and he's there with that gun and so on. Now, there's more, which is DNA evidence still pending, ballistic tests still pending. Part of that is because the gun was recovered in Pennsylvania. To match that to be the same gun, they would have to obtain it, fire it, test it, compare the shell casings and the bullets. But this is a big deal.
It is a big deal because you know, to this point, that could be one of the things that you could hear from the suspect's attorney saying, you don't know if this is the guy. This wasn't me. We talked about this, right? Like, you could say this isn't me. This guy with a mask and this, whatever. But this is.
I think there's something really funny about blurring the faces on the wanted posters of just like CEOs. It's publicly available information. Yeah, just go online. You can figure it out, okay? I know they're trying to delete this information. They're trying to delete the web pages where you can see like the corporate executives of publicly owned companies. But for the time being, you can just straight up see where it is. Now, why, oh why are they this worried about the safety and security of the CEOs? If it's just a couple weirdos online that would never feel this way in public, why are they that worried about showing the faces of public CEOs? It's so strange. Elizabeth Warren actually had a pretty solid quote here on this. But yeah.
Scientific connection, forensic connection between the two. Talk to me more about ballistics. Is it just a logistical kind of obstacle that needs to be overcome in order to get confirmation or not that the ballistics match, do you think? Or
you know, the gun is actually the charge that they are holding him on in Pennsylvania. So that evidence needs to stay with him because, you know, they are the ones who have him in custody, and he has not waived extradition, which basically says, I'm not going to New York, where they would then turn over all that evidence to New York City and then have them do those tests. But they understand, you know, they are in it for the long game. They don't need to know that tomorrow or the next day. And it gives them more time to do the background investigation they're still doing, which includes mundane things, but very necessary things like completing the video canvas, tightening up that map where they can show a picture of him almost through every step of his New York journey.
I want to get to more of that, but Steve, let me bring you in on this. Just the importance of what...
Creeps. That's creepy. You don't have to do that. You should stop doing that right now. That's creepy. You know what I mean? That's just weird, man. That's weirdo behavior. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Ew. There's a word for that. It's illegal. It's called stalking. Okay? It's called stalking, chat. Is he gonna get the life sentence? Bro, they're gonna throw the book at this motherfucker at this point. Okay? I'll just say it like this. There are a lot of conspiracies running rampant right now with like 285, the number. And as you guys know, I think like recognizing numerical patterns is a telltale sign of schizophrenia. I will say personally, or 286, sorry, not 285. I will say a lot of people are crazy, and that's it.
What John Miller has learned about this fingerprint match.
Yeah, as we've learned, something can look like a slam dunk case, but a lawyer can find just niches or cracks in any kind of strong case. And what they're doing now is filling up the cracks. They're eliminated any doubt before they go to trial that this is the person who committed this crime. He's already fighting. He's already shown what he's going to do. He's going to fight every single motion, even a perfunctory extradition motion. So he isn't.
This is such a strange thing to say, by the way, because like, yeah, no shit. Yeah, he should. Everyone should. Like, I don't understand this idea. Like, even if you're f***ing dead to rights, even if they got you dead to rights, you still should. Why wouldn't you? The entire system is designed to allow you to get off on process. Like, that's the job of a lawyer. Yeah, it's called exercising your f***ing rights, you know?
Going to go quietly on this. So the police are obviously dotting their I's and crossing their T's.
For sure. And John, something that we've talked about, and I guess it still remains, you know, there are so many questions that remain. And I'm wondering if this notebook that we're learning more about kind of adds to this picture is, how did this guy know that the CEO was going to be where he was going to be when he was? So, is that where the line of thinking is in investigating how we learn more about that?
There are clues. I mean, you know it because you've been by there, but that New York Hilton Hotel takes up, you know, half of a full city block. Yeah. It has doors all the way down 53rd Street and all the way down 54th Street, and a front door and a rear driveway. That's like 20 entrances you would have.
Well, I mean, it's too big. It's big then. It's big. He could have just randomly touched a doorknob. You know what I mean?
To cover to know where is this guy going to enter the hotel. But you would also have to know about, you know, shooting being the more precise way to take on his target. In one line, he says, "And what better way to take out the CEO than to shoot him at his own, quote, bean counters conference?"
Yep. An investor conference is exactly what you could say that is.
Right.
And Steve, what do you think? There's so much that is coming out. I mean, this reporting from John is most significant about the forensic that they're now positively IDing. What questions do you have that remain now, Steve, and where you would say, you know, leaning on your experience with the FBI, where you think this investigation focuses a lot of its energy now?
Well,
we have to remember, just like Shabiba, all these CNN fucks are millionaires, are making 6 figures yearly. The producers who decide the angle, etc., all are part of the same class. It's not that simple. The shooter himself comes from a very wealthy family. I make more money than the fucking average CNN anchor. There's a difference. They are tasked with undermining the truth. They are tasked with defending the established hierarchy. That's it. Like, she's not a capital owner. She's a wage laborer. Her job is, her job gives her a salaried wage. I think this is more so a matter of like what you're tasked with. Defending capital in the interest of capital, in the interest of corporations, or even just the pre-existing social constructs, and deflecting the attention away from why people are angry is her primary concern. It's not necessarily her her net worth that causes her to feel this way. There are some who operate on that boundary. I think like the likes of Ben Shapiro or whatever. But it's really interesting to think because, like, I mean, Bill Burr, also rich. You know what I mean? Bill Burr is a rich guy. He gets it. I'm a well-off guy. I get it. I understand it. I think it's more so about being out of touch with the average person. Or rather, not necessarily being out of touch with the average person, but instead, like, defending the preordained, pre-established hierarchies that you are tasked with defending. So your logic, if you're angry, it gives you the right to kill CEOs. Sick take. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I think the coverage of this so far from the media has been, the people are angry, but we don't understand why, and they shouldn't be angry. And even if they are, well, it's just like a marginal number of people that are angry. It's not actually the broader, the larger swaths of society. It's just like random lefties that are yelling. And while I don't think that killing a random healthcare CEO is going to be the solution, or that vigilante justice is good, I don't think that at all. I'm simply more interested in not just looking at this with like, well, murder isn't good. Like, I think that's a simple take. I think the more interesting analysis here is to recognize that that person is responsible for tens of thousands of deaths a year, and he gets paid to do that. And the invisibility of that death that is hidden under the way that our systems are designed is important to recognize. But because this kind of death and this kind of violence, this structural violence, is so pervasive that virtually every single American has at least one bad encounter with a healthcare provider, okay, with a healthcare insurance company, that they don't give a fuck that this guy got killed. And I think that's worthy of examination. Understanding why people are upset is worthy of examination, because we're looking at the singular murder of the CEO, not recognizing that that person, in the eyes of so many Americans, is responsible for the singular murder of their loved one, the pain and torment caused to their loved one, the medical bankruptcy of a loved one, or even themselves. You know, I hope you understand where I'm coming from with this. Instead of taking like the most blanket neurodivergent attitude, like, and being like, Hasan is saying it's fucking awesome. When someone is angry, they should be able to kill the person that has angered them. When my dad was dying in the hospital, his insurance refused to cover food for him. Every day I think about how hungry he must have been as he died. It keeps me up at night. He wasn't the CEO of Walmart. What do you mean? I mean, the CEO of Walmart is also responsible for a shit ton of awfulness. But I want to hear back from that chatter. I want to hear like what their response is to what I'm saying. But I think their goal in this circumstance was to simply vent and talk about how frustrated they are Perhaps because they have an immediate loved one who's an executive at a health insurance company or some shit, or maybe because they just cannot comprehend the argument that I'm making or refuse to see it and want to make it seem as though I'm saying something that is a straw man, something that is like easier to tackle. Maybe bait a clip. I don't think they're a bot. They've been subscribed for months at this point.
You've got a lot of the basic building blocks of this case already being nailed down. What I'd want to do is shore up the areas where you don't have direct knowledge yet, or at least they haven't said they have direct knowledge of the shooter's actions. For instance, before a shareholders conference like this, they're going to be setting up for about a week. They're going to do rehearsals and speeches and stuff. I would want to know where he was. We have cameras and everything on the day of shooting, but I'd like to see cameras around the entrances and find out whether Thompson did the same thing for several mornings, or whether maybe somebody in the hotel actually provided him information. I suspect he went a week early, and I suspect he was doing canvassing and surveillance that entire time.
It's interesting when you talk about that, because that's the backward building of this video canvas. He comes in on the 24th. That's like 10 days before the actual shooting. And where they have tracked him is he comes out of the Port Authority bus terminal and does not go to check into the hostel where he's going to stay. He goes straight with all of his bags to the Hilton Hotel, and he starts doing those walkarounds. But they also have him in a McDonald's, which we now know, I guess, was his preference for hanging out.
I was going to say his preferred stop along the way, for sure. John, thanks for running up and giving us the new reporting. Steve, thank you as always. It's good to see you.
The suspect that is charged in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, fighting extradition back here to New York. Luigi Mangione appeared in a Pennsylvania courtroom yesterday. You can see him shouting angrily as he entered the building. Law enforcement now focusing on alleged writings by Mangione for clues about a potential motive. We're going to speak to his lawyer in a moment, but first let's go to senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky outside the prison there in Pennsylvania with the latest for us.
Good morning, Robin. The 26-year-old suspect is now being held at this prison without bail after fighting extradition. And
can we talk about the difference in his popular reception because he's white? Like if he was black or Latino dude from the hood, it would not be all received with this kind of energy. Obviously, we'll feel the same about him, but it's still low-key frustrating. I don't give a shit. I mean, you're not wrong, but it doesn't matter. You're looking at give horse in the mouth. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy fucking thing to bring up in this situation. That's not leftist. It's like, why did you add from the hood to that? That's what he said, did he not? You think I randomly added from the hood? One must ask the question, why you thought I added that? Instead of reading it out right. No, don't say you meant him now after you said, oh. How is it crazy? No, he's saying me. It's crazy because the point of this is this is a moment of like weird class transcendence in the way that people are interpreting the situation, and you're being an annoying fucking radlib about it, straight up. Like in a very unique moment where you got like people on the right straight up being like, yeah, no, this is like, I'm not angry about this at all because I've experienced something similar. You go, oh, what if in a hypothetical he was black? Everyone would hate the guy. Yeah, okay, sure. Who gives a fuck? Shut the fuck up, you know? You know what I mean? Like, you're right. You're not wrong. But there's no reason to bring this up. It comes across as like wrecker behavior. You know what I mean? You're not making a unique or profound point. And a lot of people were like, oh, he's not like a leftist. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm glad. You know what I mean? Like, y'all are crazy. Who cares? It is virtually the best possible. It is virtually the best possible sequence of events for in terms of like broad public reception. That he's a clean cut, up and coming, a kid from a fucking wealthy family, went through a private school, got the best education. Y'all are dumb as shit. Stop fantasizing about like alternative scenarios in your mind to make this seem like somehow it's it's bad that people feel this way or are open and cognizant of their anger. What is this? His ass is getting cooked in his own house. This guy, so many people here think that he has good policy ideas. He's making a complete straw man in order to defend the U.S. insurance system.
This, okay. let me know. You sit at your computer and this is what happens. A thing comes in and it goes, oh, doctor is requesting this, okay? And then they have another screen and it says, here are our standards of care and here's what we provide. And then you look at this, you make sure there are no contraindications for the prescription or the treatment or whatever. And then as long as everything matches and you click okay, approve, or you see there's a contraindication or there's some other thing that you suggest first, you go, oh, okay, deny. That's how it is. The CEO is not walking up and down the aisles and being like, oh, that motherfucker, deny them. We need to make more money on that.
I oftentimes wonder, like, who this is for whenever I hear commentary like this, where I just don't understand it. Like, what's the purpose here? Because becoming a hyper-specific, ultra-autistic process guy in this situation doesn't change the dynamic, doesn't change the reception. It doesn't, like, people still have their claims denied, and the CEO in this situation is just a standalone figure that is signing off on all of those actions. He's at the tippy top, okay? Like, this person didn't kill him because the CEO directly fucking immediately went into the fucking files and was like, deny that person's like back injury claims. Like, I think this is a part of what a lot of debate lords do, where they just like want to always be right and they want to also always be contrarian. So when there isn't anything that you can grab onto, you just get like ultra specific. It's like, well, the CEO directly is not causing this. It's like, well, no, the CEO is responsible. That's why he gets paid the amount of money he gets paid. And yeah, the CEO signs off on it at the end of the day. He is basically the standalone figurehead for all of the wrong and maybe all of the right that the company is engaging in. The CEO is just as responsible for the deaths as Charles Manson is. He doesn't have to pull the trigger, but that's it. The difference between Charles Manson and the CEO, however, is that the CEO gets money off of making sure the profit margins stay at least 6%. Okay? But the process in which those profit margins get up to 6%, there are a shit ton of denials. Okay? There are a shit ton of denials. And those denials are absolutely, those denials are absolutely causing so much pain, so much suffering. This is before we even factor in to the equation the necessity for privatized healthcare. It does not need to exist. Maybe as an alternative, if you're already at a pretty fat, pretty robust social safety net in the form of some kind of socialized medicine structure, but that's not where we're at. Just because the CEO is not directly engaging in this process doesn't change that reality. What is this? What is this? I mean, Destiny is right. How can you speak on the insurance industry if you've never had someone who worked in the industry? Don't speak on it. You're right. My apologies. I had no idea how the insurance structure worked. You're right. I have to literally be someone who works in the insurance industry. It seems to me like you are someone who works in the insurance industry. And although you are a low-ranking employee, you somehow feel the pain of this CEO. I don't understand what the fuck's going on there. I am not a part of the Israeli occupying force, nor have I ever been a part of any sort of military structure, but I think I can offer decent analysis on all of the war crimes that the Israeli government is engaging in. I am not a chicken, but I know how to make a fucking scrambled egg. This is not a decent counter argument, chatter. This is yet another major issue that I have with debate lords, where they're just like bad. They're bad at arguing, but they think they're good at arguing because they think that they can LARP like the person that they're watching. It's very strange. That is the dumbest fucking comment you can make. You're not talking to me, you're talking to him, right? It is a crazy thing to say that, like, well, you don't work in the insurance industry, so you have no idea how this stuff works. You could turn around and tell me what is wrong about my analysis, but just simply hitting it with this blanket statement might make you feel like you have made an intelligent point of contention, but it's not. It's very stupid. It is directly at odds with what I do as a political commentator. Insurance is just a collateralization of risk. Profit should not be a part of it at all. It kind of seems like what you're telling me is we should socialize it. Like, also, the irony here is this conversation. Like, the irony here is you think I have never talked to someone who works in the insurance industry when perhaps one of the people that DM me the most frequently is Warren Gunnels. Like literally nonstop. Warren Gunnels is the Majority Staff Director for Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee Chairman for Senator Bernie Sanders. Warren Gunnels, in his past at least, was an insurance executive. Like literally. Perhaps the person who DMs me the most frequently. You shouldn't speak on matters regarding trust busting because you're not the chair of the FTC. Yeah. I don't know why this person has not responded. So many people. What is this? I found this channel yesterday, dude. People are insane. HasanAbi. Bro, this has 13 subscribers. Why are you fucking showing me this shit? Like, Jesus Christ. Yes, dude. I have fucking rabid and entirely psychotic fucking hate watchers. I know. Some of them you can hear in the broadcast right now. They come in and they chime in and they chirp. What is this? Balls in your court, HasanAbi. I'm so down. Oh, hell yeah. I'm down as fuck. This misinformation machine. Anyway, let's continue with this take.
Like, oh, today, guys, lottery day. If the person that you're approving or denying care for, if their name starts with the letter D, we deny today because D for denial, fuck them, making more money today. Or, guys, it's December. You want your Christmas bonuses? Highest denial server or highest denial worker gets a bonus, $40,000 on your paycheck. Like, this doesn't happen. The parts of these systems and the employees that work on
Dude, they literally use the AI. They use the AI with a 90% failure rate specifically to increase the amount of denials that they were engaging in. And they don't have to do it directly. Yes, it is an indirect form of violence. It's just such a weird thing to shadow box against because I don't think most people are making this argument. You're either voluntarily misunderstanding the argument that people are making, or you are deliberately making up a different argument that you think is at least weak enough. It's not one that like any real person believes. And it also does not change the reality on the side of the victims. It's a very strange way to operate. But I guess it's ironic because Destiny and his weirdo fans will always say Hasan is too scared of debate. Okay? He's too scared of debate. He's too afraid, even though I debate plenty. And then they'll follow up and say, no, he only talks to like dumbasses. Dumbasses in his chat, which is ironic because he's calling his own fan base dumbasses because most of those people that fucking chirp at me are usually coming from his fan base. But having said that, at least I'm like responding to a real person in my fucking chat. He's just making this concept up, or rather responding to like, again, someone that he saw on Twitter, like a point that they made that he didn't fully understand. The real purpose here, in my opinion, the real purpose here is to try to address what the actual pressure point is. Okay? It also is pretty crazy. Yeah, the only reason they have to use AI is because they cannot legally instruct humans to deny at the rate they wish to. So they could blame the over-eager AI denials as kinks in the process. Yes, it's plausible deniability. That's all this is. And it's ironic because the other institution that he defends vociferously, Israel, also utilizes a similar structure in the form of lavender AI targeting systems, according to Israeli investigative reporters over at Local Call and 972 magazine. The lavender AI targeting system operates in an identical capacity. Most of the AI that is utilized in this day and age is not to actually be correct. It's actually utilized in instances where you can be incorrect. And it's good to be incorrect. Lavender AI targeting systems that create new targets at a rate that is far higher than normal human processing is done deliberately. It's done deliberately because Israel does not care about killing random civilians. This way, they also get an additional way to say, look, we didn't choose to do this. I guess we got it a little wrong. Oopsie.
Are so disconnected from the actual CEOs themselves. The idea that there's like some guy just like, oh, deny, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just not how these jobs work.
Who's saying that? I mean, I'm sure there's people that don't fully grasp it, but many people are using the CEO as a placeholder for the awfulness that they've experienced from the insurance industry. And I think the reality of the matter is, yes, the CEO is signing off on all of the fucking awful shit that the company is doing. That's why they get paid $10 million a year. This CEO did at least. I wonder what compels someone like Destiny to be so aggressively a status quo defender. I genuinely don't understand it. Like, There was a point in time when he wasn't rich. You know what I mean? It's not like he's super far removed from being fucking broke. He has no values or morals or ethics. He goes with the wind. Yeah, no. Desperation to be the adult in the room and unwavering belief in institutions / hierarchies. I know, but like, this isn't an adult-like attitude to have. This is actually an idealistic attitude to have. I'll explain. The American healthcare structure, the American for-profit healthcare structure is fundamentally busted, okay? It's the most expensive and it has some of the shittiest outcomes. It is not a system that needs to exist at all, but even in comparable countries where there are some, at least like gap covering private healthcare providers, they're still heavily regulated. They're far cheaper overall. It's a shitty mediator that does not need to exist, especially in the United States of America. It would be far cheaper to the American public if we had abolished it in its entirety. And if you work in the private healthcare system and you're like, well, Hasan, I'm going to lose my job. First of all, that's not even the case. Unless you are quite literally a CEO, you are most likely not in a replaceable position. You are ironically doing something that the government is still going to have to do, depending on whichever way we change the healthcare structure to be more ethical, or rather, I'll use a term that people care about, efficient. CEOs are replaceable too. Yes, they are. Trust me, I know. I'm just saying that like CEOs in that situation would most likely not exist, whereas the paper pushers still would. Someone still needs to process claims. Someone still needs to file paperwork. So your job, regardless of the private or public structure, would most likely still exist, or at least some form of your job would still exist. The CEO's job, on the other hand, would not. Like, as someone who has direct personal connections to someone who's an exec in the industry, he's so objectively wrong, it's insane. Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why this is something that he chose to argue on. He's so pressed on defending the insurance system in the U.S. What does he gain out of this from defending it so hard when the majority of people in the U.S. hate the insurance system? He has nothing to gain from defending it at all. I have no clue. My guess is he likes being a contrarian. He also has some pretty terrible takes on Palestine lately. Probably. He and his community just like the debate. If Hasan was making this exact point, you can bet his fans will be on the other side. I like that random people know that, like, he just takes the contrarian position to whatever the fuck my opinion is. Like, I don't think that's the case. I don't fully understand what the ambitions are here, what the motivations are here. I don't think I'll ever understand it. It is a very strange way to operate. He's violently afraid of being wrong, so he's trying to stay safe. That's really interesting. If he was violently afraid of being wrong, he should probably agree with me a lot more. Because, lo and behold, you might not agree with this, but I feel like I'm vindicated quite frequently. It takes time, but it always happens at the end. But yeah, he is just wrong in general. It's just how you make money. This is how private healthcare works. They make money doing everything in their physical power to make sure you don't get the proper coverage. Anyway, I've seen his fan claim he earned millions a month on Twitch only. That she made me laugh. Yeah, they also claim that my dad is a billionaire because they saw some AI articles. That, like I said, being pro-Israel after October 7, once again, you're just going to always have to hold that permanent L. You might, over time, try to restructure your opinion, but you're holding that permanent fucking L. And that's not the only, that's not the only L that Destiny has held. I mean, he's held other things too. Potentially the hand of a Nazi. And maybe some other stuff from a neo-Nazi, but I don't know. Something that I always try to explain. You mean they made AI articles? Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, it's so stupid. You want to know why it's stupid? Because if my dad was a fucking billionaire, like those AI articles suggest he is, he would literally be on every fucking list. He'd be the second, third, fourth wealthiest person in the fucking country, in Turkey. Okay? He would be on lists. And it's really interesting that no one even exercises a little bit of critical thinking because they're so invested. Here's the meta-analysis. Here's the meta-conversation, okay? When you get very passionate, and we do this in this stream as well, I urge you sometimes, when something seems so perfect, when something sounds so good, my immediate reaction to it is like, I'm going to exercise caution. Certain things are too good to be true. Socialist with a billionaire father. Sounds like something that might be too good to be true. Now, I am my own person. So regardless of my father's opinions, beliefs, or financial status, that still wouldn't really matter in this conversation, but at least it would matter for the memes, right? And what these people should do is maybe engage in a little bit of critical thinking, but they can't because they're so excited. They're so excited and so invested, right? That they don't realize that this causes many people to lose sight of that muscle that you normally are supposed to exercise, the critical thinking muscle. That's the problem, okay? So these people who are very invested, in like finding the truth, and the best possible way to find the truth is through spirited debate, like they end up shutting off certain parts of their minds that under normal circumstances would cause them to be a little bit more critical with certain narratives that sound too good to be true. Okay? That's it. This is something that I talked to with Ta-Nehisi Coates about yesterday. The topic was in regards to Israel, but like, there's only so much that you can be wrong on until you just are wrong all the time and you are no longer interested in the truth whatsoever, and you find yourself seeking out conspiracies further and further. Okay? And you become like a QAnon supporter, basically. Or after the fourth time, you're like, okay, instead of spiraling out of control and seeping further and further into madness, I should exercise a little bit of caution and really reconsider some of my first principles, some of my immediate lapses of judgment. That is the problem. And I think a lot of the debate space in general is so hyper focused on being right and or at least like appearing right and defeating and humiliating your interlocutors in the marketplace of ideas that you just have no interest in finding out the truth at all. And slowly but surely, you go further and further into trafficking in falsehoods. Because as long as your in-group is repeating those falsehoods, then it might as well be correct. After all, everyone around me thinks it's correct. You know, kind of how very postmodern of you, kind of like how you said you would end up eventually right in the end. I thought facts didn't matter as much as stories. Yes, I'm talking about the dangers of this. Do you just hear me say, unfortunately, narrative trumps the truth? Unfortunately, narrative is more important than the facts. And you think, oh, he believes this? Instead of hearing the things that come after that, which is, this is me telling you to exercise caution. Sometimes I think people are too stupid to have a conversation with. This person, I believe, is one of those people. People go into... It's really, really interesting that people go into the debate space because they want to repeat what they think are intellectually sound arguments. Everyone wants to be smart. People in this community do it. I do it as well, okay? Everyone wants to be smart. Everyone knows that maybe they're not that smart, but at least they want to appear smart, okay? Now, I recognize I'm a dumbass, and I repeat it. I repeat that fact all the time. People in this community do it. People in Destiny's community do it. Everyone does it. People that read New York Times articles do it as well. Everybody does it. But the problem is when people are so predisposed with appearing smart and repeating a person's takes that has consistently been wrong, they don't realize that, you know, they're not coming across as intelligent at all. Maybe rhetorically you can bully your interlocutor in that moment. Okay. But you're still wrong. You're just confidently and loudly and proudly wrong. That's it. The difference is I think I'm at least smart enough to understand that I don't know everything.